Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Call the meeting to order. Adjustments to the agenda. I will add public comments in there.
I have a few things on the road.
And you want to add road? So you make a motion to
Add.
add public comments and road. Is that right?
Yes.
Is there a second? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Is there any public comment? Anna?
No.
Jared? Public comment?
Not at this time.
Tim? No. Tim? Okay. All right.
Oh, David, I do have, did you get my email about sharing the postage?
Was that today?
No, it was on Monday. I sent it, the emergency committee thought this might be one way to get our mailing out, was to piggyback it.
Oh, yes. In the tax bills, yeah.
Yes, right.
I don't know that there's a prohibition against that.
Right.
So.
The only thing I do is ask Hannah what that means to several pieces of paper. I mean, we're talking about. I don't know how big the tax bill is. It's usually a couple of pages.
I don't know, mine's pretty long, pretty high.
Well,
Yeah,
this,
do you know what Tim's
what we're
talking
talking
He
about.
wants to put the emergency
Yeah,
survey
okay.
in the tax
Okay,
bills.
I didn't know if you were aware of
And
that.
there's no.
What? I didn't hear that.
stipulation.
I said I wasn't sure if Hannah knew what you were
Yeah,
talking
I'm
about.
following.
Oh, I'm sorry, Hannah.
I don't think it would be a problem. The tax bills are usually just a single sheet of paper, so it's not going to go over the postage.
We are anticipating at least 3, maybe 4 sheets of paper.
That might be too much.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to make sure you were in on this decision.
And we don't know of any prohibition against that, though, is there?
I don't, but I'd have to research it to be sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard
I
other
don't-
towns talk about inserting things like,
Yeah.
you know, their historic society, you know.
I don't think that
information,
there is,
whatever.
but we'll just look.
Is there a way you can consolidate it some so it's not so long?
We'll work on that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be probably consolidating from 4 to 3. And
Hannah,
not
what's the
trying to
date?
do without the 4th piece of paper. And I think 3 would be too much. That's my sense. In terms of saving money, because if we add to the postage of the tax bill, it's like we haven't saved anything.
Yeah.
Are you including an envelope for return?
Yes. And that would be
That's gonna
another,
make it more, that's even gonna
It's
be more.
sounding like it should be its own mailing to
Yeah.
me.
I agree with you.
Okay.
So the tax bills don't get lost in the shuffle, right?
Yeah, right, that too.
No, that too.
People can say, oh, I never saw my
Yeah.
tax bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we will move on to reviewing the meeting house facade project contract. I know that Krista had a few things that she was, questions she had about it. Does anybody want to talk to that or speak to that?
I actually saw Krista Tuesday evening at the school board meeting, and her main concern was with only having 21 days, if something goes wrong, that's not enough time to file any suits or anything, but she said, if you and it's 21 days from the date that you notice it, so what she was recommending is if the meeting house committee notices anything wrong with the construction, they need to let us know immediately so that we could follow up on that, but that's really her main concern, what she verbalized on Tuesday evening.
Is there any reason that that can be extended or not, or is that the usual amount of time?
I'm just seeing if I can find it. I believe Candace replied to that concern, David, in the thread that you were on.
Okay, yeah,
And said that there were other factors, and I don't recall it off the top of my head. I'm just seeing if I can find that email, but I'm not having any luck right now. Oh, because I'm not online, I think. But she said there was the 21 days in there, but then there was something with regards to state law, and there was some other factors. There were like 3 things. And she didn't have any concern about that if, in fact, it needed to be, you know, that circumstances came about, that there was an issue that needed to be raised and it went beyond 21 days. She didn't think that there would be any issue with that.
So really, all you have to do is notify them, hey, this is unacceptable, do it in writing or however. It doesn't mean that you have to file an arbitration within that 21 days.
I don't believe so, no.
No, it just has to be notified.
Yeah, it says here, Article 18.2, the owner shall give notice promptly after discovery of the condition during the 1-year period for correction of the work. If the owner fails to notify the contractor and give the contractor an opportunity to make the correction, blah, blah, blah.
But arbitration needs to be made within 21 days, not 1 year.
Well, you have to notify them, but like she said, there's still
Yeah.
But
other
you're talking
time
about-
factors.
You're talking about a different point, I believe, Sandy. The 21
Well, that's
days
correction
is...
of work.
So if you
No, but
find
that's not where the 21 days is,
No.
is it? No,
no,
that's
but
what
if
we're
you
talking
find a
about, the 21
problem,
days.
you notify them within 21 days, and then they have a year to work out replacing or fixing this stuff.
Okay. It's claims in dispute, which is Article 21. Owner's representative within 21 days after occurrence of the event shall give rise to such claim.
So, if you can, if any member of the committee finds an issue with some of the work, can you notify at least 2 members of the select board immediately in person or something, so that we can then start the notification process, so we aren't waiting and say, oh, you know, this window smashed, you know, on the way back here or something, just so that if we go with the 21 days, you just be sure that notify us, and then we can have a special meeting if need be, or however we go about that. Is that reasonable?
David, if there was anything that needed to be brought to the board's attention, it would be brought to the entire board's attention, and I'm gonna
I'm
assume...
not saying to wait until a meeting, that
No, I understand that.
if you
I'm
find
sa-
something, and instead of saying, well, you know, you email somebody and then they don't get it, or they don't, and then but at least 2, I would think, of us, and
Okay.
it just so that we know about it, and that one, you know, it doesn't slip somebody's mind and the other person has it. Is that reasonable?
So can if I can finish my answer
Sure.
would be that I would notify the entire board. If you would prefer that I do something other than send an email to the entire board to be sure that that notification gets through, then please let me know what you're requesting.
Why don't we email everybody and you at least call somebody on the board and say, hey, there's some trouble here. I don't expect there will be,
Absolutely.
but just make sure that you make personal contact with at least one person, let's say. We'll say email everybody, and you will make personal contact with...
Meaning that somebody picks up the phone and I speak to them in person, or I get their voicemail?
No, you know, you call me and you don't get me, then you call Harold and you know, and if Harold won't answer, then Denise will answer, and you talk to one person, say, hey, there's trouble here. I want to notify you, I have emailed everybody, and hopefully we'll all jump onto it, so.
Okay. All right, I would also ask that when and if something like this were to happen and an email were to go out, I would ask respectfully that members of the board reply to just confirm that
Sure.
they've received it.
I would think that would be perfectly reasonable.
Okay.
Is there any reason why we can't extend that for 60 days though instead of 21?
Well,
That is, 21 seems like it's pushing constraints of,
what did Candace, do you have what Candace said
I
there?
don't,
No.
oh, wait a minute, I might be able to get it on my phone.
You can sign on to the Athens hotspot if you,
Yeah, I am. I don't know, I'm not on my iPad, but I certainly am on my phone. You don't recall what she had to say?
I don't
on that
recall.
matter?
Well, let's see. Go with that.
Bottom one,
Very limiting arbitration provision. The arbitration period outlined is concerning and very short. The contract is a mandatory arbitration clause. Yeah, but this isn't from her.
well, this is the emails.
This is from
that-
Krista.
This is the emails and things that went through,
Yes.
so, yeah.
Ms. Candace's reply on that one?
Yeah, There's-
Krista,
there's replies from Candace,
no, this is,
that's from Sherry. That's from Sherry. Sherry. Oh, I got it's just a thanks from Candace. External sender. So. Maybe that's it. I know when I checked on the internet to see what the normal arbitration period was, the ones that I saw, and once again, it wasn't an exhaustive list, but the ones I saw were at least 30 days. You know, but that was not an exhaustive list by any means. So if I can just, because I'm new at this, the 21-day arbitration, that is from the point of
It's 21 days notice.
notice after you have seen or you have noticed the
Defect.
damage or the defect or whatever, right? So that's when the 21 days now goes into effect, is
Correct.
after you've noticed the problem.
Correct.
and that is to then notify them. You have to notify them, you know, this window
Yeah.
is smashed or whatever. And that, but it doesn't have to be resolved within that 21 days.
Right.
It has to be noticed, I think, within that 21 days.
Could I ask a question for clarification, because I'm trying to write this down properly here. So the arbitration, do you have to notify the contractor that you intend to pursue arbitration, or do you just need to notify the contractor that you see a defect?
I believe that's what we're talking about here, that arbitration comes further down the road, but then again, I'm not versed in.
If we don't come to a resolution, right?
I believe what we're talking about is that there's a 21-day period within which to notify the contractors of a concern with the work.
Okay.
And then, I have to, can somebody give me the article number or the section on it here?
It was Article 21.
Oh, I don't think I have that on.
So is the idea that if you don't notify within 21 days, you lose your right to arbitration?
That's what I believe, yes.
Okay.
Wait, Don, you're shaking your
You're
head.
shaking your head.
I just, arbitration's a totally different thing from,
Right,
you
that's,
know, a notification.
right.
Yeah, it says,
Arbitration has to do with resolution, doesn't it?
Yeah, you get two parties that can't come
You
to
know,
a
instead of going to
resolution,
court, you go to
get
arbitration.
arbitrated. I don't know why arbitration keeps coming into
Yeah.
this conversation.
So, yeah, so this is long afterwards, so instead of suing somebody, you go to arbitration and you have a mediator come in and say, well, this is reasonable, this is not reasonable, and we stick with the arbitrator and not going to a superior court or someplace.
This is what.
That's what I understand.
If you wanna read it out.
So this is long after the problem, I would think,
Okay.
or the noticing of the problem.
Well, I mean, if you notice the problem within,
Yeah, we gotta get right on it.
you gotta get right on it, is what it is.
Right.
But if you don't notice it for a year, I think then your 21 days still goes into effect, if you don't notice there's something wrong. But,
So, can I just ask, how often is someone there at the meeting house that would notice that there was a problem. I mean, is the meeting house shut up for 4 months and then somebody comes in and says, oh, you know, this was supposed to have been fixed, but it wasn't? Or is someone in the meeting house on a fairly regular basis that would notice quickly an issue?
Well, I believe what we're talking about is noticing as the work is being done. And there will be regular visits.
Mhm.
On what schedule, I don't know right now, but trust me, I will be in there, and I kind of bet Don will be in there too.
Okay,
Taking a look at things.
I'm gonna toss my 2 cents in here, because Don and I did have a little discussion on this. There is a position called the clerk of the works.
Can we stay on one point at a
This
time,
is,
please?
this has to do with this
We're
one
talking
point.
about 21
No,
days.
let her talk.
I would
This
like to get-
has to do with it, because I know we have you as the representative, but there's also a position known as the clerk of the work that actually goes in every time a phase is finished and checks the work. And I've sort of asked my husband if he could back you up as the owner's rep by him being the clerk of the works because of his experience in carpentry. That it might behoove the town as a whole. He hasn't completely said no.
Well, before the board approved the decision like that, I just want to, full disclosure, I'm the one that came up with Stebbins to begin with.
And where were they out of, Don?
Marlboro, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Yeah, the Marlboro, in New Hampshire, okay.
Yeah, they actually found me first, and I had a small amount of experience with them. The guy I was dealing with has changed jobs. He's with GPI Construction now. And I'm sort of happy to do it. Kind of wish somebody else had the official capacity, but I don't see where that person's coming from.
I don't know of anybody that has the ability that you would have.
Yeah,
to
the
look at it.
experience.
You know, we
The
got
experience and the ability.
3 or 4 guys in town with the ability, but I don't think
Yeah, but we don't have time
Yeah,
to call them up and to
yeah.
harangue them into this position, Don. I mean, we need
I'm
to.
happy to do it. I just want you guys to know that you know, I'm the one.
Yeah, we
that
need to
brought-
get on
I'm the
this,
one
and I
that
don't
brought
wanna-
them in.
Okay, now Sherry, you had something you wanted to say when she was talking about.
Well, I
corporate.
just wanted us to stay on one point at a time. And we were on the 21-day piece.
Yes, but that was part of it, that somebody there to be able to look at the work and stuff within a time, and to have somebody professional be able to do that, so I think that was within topic. You said you wanted 60 days, do you want to make that a motion, or?
I would
change
like to
that?
make the motion of 60 days for the arbitration of
The notice?
notice. Because if for some reason there is a problem and we have to get somebody other than, you know, if Don says, well, I'd rather have you check it out, then we've got to get another carpenter or whatever, you know, 60 days seems relatively.
I mean, if Don thinks that there's a problem, or Sherry thinks there's a problem, and they notify the contractor within that 21 days, then you can have people come in afterwards, because that just is a notice, that 21 days, but I
Yeah.
understand what you're
So-
saying.
Janet made a motion, it should be seconded.
Yes,
and
before we
voted on
discuss
Before we
it.
discuss it.
So is there a second?
I'll second, so we have a discussion.
All right. So I think if Sherry saw something that she didn't like, or Don saw something that he didn't like, that a notice could be given to the contractor. This is not, we don't feel that this is correct, or this is poor workmanship, or something like that, to then qualify for the 21 days is my thinking, but whether, and then we can get somebody else in there to look at it, to discuss it, to go over it. And then I think just once they have been notified, this is,
So is that the only issue you feel right now with the contract, is just moving 21 days to 60 days for arbitration?
No, there's other issues with the contract. I mean, Krista brought up several.
Well, one of the things in the emails that I received in the thing is Krista did state, though, that she did not think that any of these were any reason to
Not sign it?
not sign it.
Right.
You know, and as a lawyer and such, you know, that kind of weighs heavy, you know, weighs pretty well on me, that she didn't think that it was so severe that we should not take care of this.
When I spoke to her the other evening at the school board, those were her exact words. She said there are some things in the contract that she would not agree to, but because the way the contract was written, she said, but it's more so a problem for the contractor and not the town, and that we should go ahead with it the way it is. Even though the 21 day is an awfully short time.
Do we know if the contractor would mind the 60 days? Have we talked to them or asked them anything?
The contractor is fine with the contract as it was sent to them. They're waiting right now for me to send them a signed copy. They'll sign it and send it back. I'm looking at Krista's communication. David, you were copied on this as well, and Candace. And just the backstory, Krista had thought that the contractor had provided the contract, so Candace straightened that out. Krista said, I had mistakenly thought the contractor had proposed this and was trying to point out areas that gave me pause from the perspective of it being proposed by the contractor, although I don't think any of these would be a reason not to sign a contract. Regarding arbitration, arbitration has become the preferred method of dispute resolution in most industries, including my primary area of employment. I don't think the arbitration clause is a deal breaker. I just wanted everyone to be aware of the cost should something arise.
Oh, I don't think anybody's talking of that arbitration isn't the way to go.
I'm just sharing with everyone Krista's response. And
I see that.
if everyone is aware and comfortable with the 21-day window, then it shouldn't be a problem. The key is that if something happens, breach, significant damage, etc., it just has to be reported right away. And then there is a referral to an SOL paragraph and deadline consistency that she noted, and I'm not quite sure what that is.
All right, any more discussion on Janet's motion?
If I can just read from the notes that I got here from Candace. Some of the concerns are useful, interesting. Some I think it'd be useful to discuss and share. I should note that this is in fact a national standard boilerplate contract modified by me a long time ago, HLS grad and so forth.
Harvard Law School grad.
Yeah, right. And to be as plausibly town positive as possible as a member of the meeting house. So Candace certainly thinks that this is more town positive than it is contractor positive.
No, I mean, I think Candace, she did great work for us on that, and it was just the concerns that Krista had raised that. Any other discussion? All right, motion is to extend the notice of defect from 12 days, from 21 days to 60 days. All those in favor? Sandy?
Aye.
Denise?
I'm gonna say no, I think it should just be the way it is.
I like the 60, but I wouldn't be unhappy with the 21, so.
Aye.
I'm gonna vote no too. I don't want to cause the contractor issues, but I do want Sherry just to be right on top of it there. If you find something, you email us all, and you contact at least one member of the board right away.
So it was I with Sandy and Janet, Nays, David, Harold, and Denise?
Yes.
Great.
All right. Do we have other?
Can I just make clear on something here as well?
Sure.
And that is that the 21 days is on, according to what I'm reading here in the contract, Article 21, 21.1, the contractor's representative, the owner's representative notifies. That's the timeline. So as long as that's done, there isn't any other concern at that point. There are other pieces that follow that, but it's that notification that needs to
It's
happen.
the notification.
And
I
that
would-
notification does not, that doesn't involve, and not to say that I am not gonna contact you if need be. I hope and I doubt that I will need it. I hope that I don't need to contact you in that manner, but we certainly would. But I don't think that it then, I don't think it puts the 21-day limit on you or a need to act. It's like, it's in the contractor's lap at that point. We've contacted them, we've said we're not happy with this. You will be informed about that should we reach that point.
If we can get, certainly, how the contractor would want to be notified, if it's by email, if it's by, however, if we can just at least get something in writing from the contractor, if we have a problem and it needs to be notified, this is how you do that.
I would recommend email so that you have a paper trail. You
Well,
wouldn't want to
email
just
would
call them and say, hey Joe, there's something wrong with your work.
I would like a paper trail as well, but we would like to get it from the contractor. Hey, this is the email, you send it to within the 21 days. Is that reasonable?
Well, just so that you know, I would both email and put a call in to the contact for the contractor, and that is, for this contract. Yep.
Okay. Are there other concerns? I know that Krista has a few others in there.
I know Krista didn't bring this up, but there's a statement about the electricity that could be supplied. The contractor will supply his own electricity with a generator, won't he? If he needs it.
If he needs to, but we have also indicated that it could be provided.
But that would be with extension cords, Sherry, and that would not be OSHA approved, I doubt.
Don, do you have any thoughts on that, given how well it works?
That idea was run by me, I think, in the last 24 hours, and it's like, huh? We're doing a 200-foot run with brand spanking new 10-gauge extension cords. Whether there's an issue that is for separate cords with the connections, I talked to the master electricians at work, and they didn't know either if there was an OSHA issue.
I mean, I do know when work has been done in the past, it's been extension corded.
Well, I mean, Don can speak to the power that was required to run those drills when we did the stabilization work in the attic, last summer, right?
It was a year ago last fall. We ran multiple pieces of equipment, drills and saws and lights at the same time. What was suggested to me is have the contractor add in the neighbor as also insured. That way, the contractor's insurance company would send and I should know the people's name by now. Would send them.
Gene Anderson.
Yeah, would send the Andersons a certificate of insurance. I mean, that's it's I don't know about the OSHA question, but the risks would be more on the contractor burning out equipment, except that we didn't experience any line loss doing that other job.
And I doubt that there will be anywhere near the level of electrical equipment needing to run as there had been with that attic job. Would you say the same, Don, or am I missing something?
No, I have the same impression. We'd be running less equipment simultaneously.
Yeah.
Plus, wouldn't a lot of it now, with the technology today, be done with the battery
That might be
powered?
showing up at battery chops.
You know, all the battery powered stuff, and they keep
Yeah.
1 or 2 batteries charged all the time, so
Yeah,
I would imagine that most of it would be done that way today.
yeah, I don't know, but a lot, you know, you see this a lot more common now, yeah.
I just wanted to bring that to light.
Yeah, no,
There's a
great.
possibility, and
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put the neighbors who are helping us out in jeopardy, or the town get a violation from VOSHA. We certainly don't want that, but.
Yeah, I think in a way it's setting a precedent for any other work that's done there, that there is that anticipation that we will supply power, which may not always be the best situation to be in. I don't think that
I think,
that particular line should be in there, that, you know, if you're a contractor, you have a generator. You bring a generator, you don't run cords. We don't know what kind of cords they're gonna be running.
There are cords we've purchased. That will be there for the job.
They're gonna be running your cord. Is it one cord?
No, it's 4 cords.
4 cords.
It's the 4 cords that we purchased specifically for the job that was done a year ago.
Yeah.
And for future use.
And that was done by local people. This is not a local company, you know. Well, when
It's
Don
done by
was
New
doing
Hampshire company.
it. Yeah, it's just that I'm thinking they're more of a commercial company than what we dealt with in the past. As far as, because when we did the attic thing, who did the attic thing?
No, the business name was Guy Launder.
Okay, got it.
It was a gaggle of them, gaggle of Launders.
Well, I would hope that, you know, Stebbins would be a reputable contractor that would be up to date with all of his equipment and all that. I mean, you know, I mean, that's certainly what we would hope.
Yep.
well, hope and saying we'll provide electricity, and then if we get a VOSHA violation on it or something.
Yeah.
So has someone looked at anything from OSHA to raise this question? Is there any information, or is this just speculation that is not based on any solid research?
Well, unfortunately, every time you contact OSHA to try to find out information, that usually means that they want to know why you want to find out this information. So they may end up showing up at a job. They're not the best of people to try to deal with at times.
So have you called and asked?
I have not called and asked.
Janet, have you called and asked?
I have not called and
And are you
asked.
planning to?
I don't want to give them a red flag.
Thank you.
So, could we try and just say to the contract, in the contract, that they will provide electricity?
I just think that that one line could be taken out, and that just means that they have to bring a generator with them.
Can I speak to that, please?
Sure.
The scope of work for this project was submitted to the Preservation Trust and then to the National Park Service. And the scope of work has been approved. And the scope of work indicated that the town could provide that power. Contractor doesn't have to utilize that. I don't want to change something that is part of the scope of work that has already been through the very lengthy process.
Was that specifically in in the scope of work that the town would provide?
It was, and the scope of work is on the attachment that was sent to all of you.
I'd be happy to contact VOSHA on, as an employee of Potash Hill Corporation and see what they say about extension cords being put together.
Could you?
Yeah.
I mean, this is not the first job that extension cords are going to be being used. This is not the first job that the town has provided power. So the precedent has already been set.
Well,
And I understand where everyone is coming from with concerns of VOSHA. And if VOSHA says no, then it's no. But just to say that the contractor needs to provide a generator when the precedence was already set and the contractor's out to him and the scope is already, of the work to be done is already been
But-
taken care of.
but each contract will stand on their own. To say that if we do it one way or the other tonight does not mean the next
It's not
contract.
precedent, correct. But
It is
this,
not,
the contractor already has this contract and all the scope of work was already sent to and is attached to everything. I don't think that should be a breaking point whether we sign a contract tonight or not.
So is it, once again, I'm all new to all this, so when the contract was written up and said that the town would provide electricity, was there a way in which the town knew that they were going to be able to supply the electricity other than the Edisons or whatever? You
The
know?
Andersons.
I think it was assumed that they would do that. You talked to them, did you, Cheryl?
I've talked to them multiple times, they are more than happy to do it anytime we need it. We've offered to compensate them with their electric costs during the months when there have been projects, and they have said, no, thank you, that's our contribution to the meeting house.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
And so we consume some wattage with the attic project.
But when I checked with Jeannie afterwards, she said there really didn't seem to be a very noticeable change in their
Oh, really?
electric bill, so
All
I
right.
was very surprised by that.
What action do we want to take on the electricity part?
Well, I'd still like Don to check with OSHA, and even if we don't change it in the contract, just so we know going forward what our situation might be.
And you're willing to do that, Don?
Yep.
Are we good with that?
I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Why don't you do that, Don, just to find that out?
Yep.
And we can always make an amendment to the contract. If it came out that, no, you can't do this, we could probably amend the contract with the company.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that would be a killer if they was said, you gotta just bring a generator over with you.
We probably already have them.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know, once again, if they're any kind of contractors, they would have big generators, so.
All right, anybody else have any other issues with that?
I would just like to point out the fact that these are cords that we purchased with grant money that we had for summer events over a year plus ago. That board member Perry, who is a member of our committee, was very aware of that whole process. That in fact, board member Perry has provided cords to us that were not as strong and durable as these cords are for previous events. So
I
I'm
think there was-
just a little
I think there was- Sherry, I think
surprised
there
that
is a
this is
difference.
coming out in a concern in this manner now and had not been raised at an earlier time.
I think there is quite a bit of difference, Sherry, between a contract with a contractor and a event that is a fundraiser or
A local thing.
a local
Yep.
issue. I think there is considerable difference between the two. So
Well,
to
the-
try to compare those, I think is not a comparison.
The quality of the cords, as I think Don can speak to, was done with the idea of work being done in the building. So
I'm not sure that it goes to the quality of it. I think it just goes to whether we can use cords in a contractual OSHA instance. So, All right, is there anybody else have anything?
The only thing I'm concerned about is the money. We do not have that money sitting in the meeting house account to cover the whole cost.
Well, we have the 50,000 from the trust, right?
From the trust?
From the
Historical?
the historical,
Sorry.
No.
No,
No.
38.
We have a grant approved from Preservation Trust of $50,000.
yes.
But as I've said multiple times, that is a reimbursable grant.
Yes.
We have not received that grant yet.
No, I understand.
Okay, well, then, we don't have that money, but that is money coming to us.
But it is
Yes.
promised to us.
Yes, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. And there are funds that were already in the meeting house account, and there is now an additional $38,000. I don't know if it was deposited yet, but there is,
Yeah, did you get the sheet?
I
Did you
didn't
an
know.
email? Oh,
Oh, I may not have seen the email, yeah. So there is more than enough money in the account to make the first payment to the contractor, considerably more than was needed for the first payment to the contractor. And the $50,000 grant, adding the $50,000 grant to that will more than cover the anticipated cost at this point of the project. And as I said at the meeting last Thursday, that I will be checking in with Lisa Ryan at Preservation Trust as to whether or not that reimbursement can happen in advance. Not in advance, but when we have spent down $50,000 on the project, if we can seek reimbursement. Or if we have to wait till the end, and then it is in fact reimbursement after the project is done. I don't know.
Then where's the other money gonna come from? Is the project gonna stop at 50,000 until we get the reimbursement?
Janet, you know very well where the money is going to come from. The Historic Society has funds that could be utilized. However, the additional gift that we received this year, which we can draw on if we need to, we have earmarked for our next efforts, which is to start trying to address the interior of the building. But if we have to draw on that in advance of getting the reimbursement from the grant, we can do that.
And the Historical Society is willing to do that?
Absolutely. That's what the money came for the building.
Has, in your experience, has any of these grants, though they have been promised to us, have they ever reneged on their promise?
No.
Okay.
Anything else?
No. Actually, I do have a question. You said you're not sure if the project needs to be completed or if you need to spend $50,000 first?
Right.
Um,
I believe, and I don't know, Don, if you were on that call with me early on with Lisa. The conversation was that we would be able to start submitting for reimbursement as we're spending money. But that was from Lisa, and I'm not sure that, and that's Preservation Trust, but I'm not sure if National Park Service actually has a different requirement than that. So that's what I have to clarify. And that would be similar to when we had the grant last time from Vermont Division for Historic Preservation. We had to spend the money. We had to finish the project, and then we got the reimbursement.
Yeah,
on that
that's my
grant.
concern. Most grants, you have to complete the project
Right.
before they...
And it may be because we are bringing more money, or a considerable amount of money to the table for the project, that we may not need to wait for all of that, but I'm not positive. So I'll be confirming that with her.
I'm set.
How much do we have in the account altogether now? Meeting House Committee?
51,000 and something.
$51,584.28.
And this contract is for
90,000.
93.
93.
93.
But there's $110,000
93,210, I believe.
Yeah, and what was the final completion numbers, like 110?
No.
No,
No,
that's
if
not-
they have to replace windows.
okay,
There was two different numbers for the total, depending on the path for the windows. And I think what happened in there is that Candace cited that number as a way of making reference to how the window, if there's a change for windows to be replaced versus
Restored.
restored,
Right.
that they would be prorated based on those numbers that the contractor had given us already.
okay.
So if they take all the windows out and the truck goes off the road and all the windows are spoiled, then it will be 110,000 to replace them all.
Well, no,
Well, either that or it'll be on their
yeah,
insurance.
that'll be on their insurance and they will be replacing them.
Oh, wow.
See, we have this where it talks about restoration 62,000
Yeah,
and replacing 80,000.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's that difference, Harold, because that's the two different numbers for the windows.
Right.
The carpentry and painting is the same either way, but the windows,
But the Historical Society, if it is needed, has the funds to,
Yes.
if this goes up and over what this money is, and the Historical Society has agreed to that, is that correct?
absolutely.
Okay. Do we have any other,
Is that just going to be a verbal agreement between the Historical Society and the town, or should we have something in writing?
I would prefer something in writing. I mean, do have it on tape.
And I'm sure Hannah's got it down on the minutes
Yep.
too, for us,
Okay.
right, Hannah?
Okay.
So, you know, to me, that's as good as in writing.
Thank you, Harold.
In that.
okay. All right, if there's no more questions or things on the contract, do we want to revote to authorize me to sign the contract?
Excuse me.
Yep.
Did we have to make a motion to have Dawn as the
Clerk of the Works?
clerk of works added?
I don't think that has to do with the contract, I think
Okay.
that is with us, and that we can then we can make a
Appoint
motion.
him.
We can appoint him or make a motion other than that, but it won't be
Okay.
part of the contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you would think, Jerry?
That would be fine.
I mean, if for a formality you want to re-vote on the contract, that's fine, but we already
We already did,
we already voted to have you sign it.
yes.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to, that would be fine, we will go with the original motion from, I don't remember when,
A week ago,
The 19th.
19th. So, we will do that. Do you have a copy of the contract for me to sign?
oops. I've been writing on it. I thought you had yours.
I don't.
I don't have the ability to print
I'm sure we
it.
can print one
I'll
out.
print one out.
Thank you.
Can I scoot behind
I thought Sandy had one.
I do, it's written on it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Does the board have a few seconds for additional business?
We are going to have some other things going here with the roads, and then we will let you have a public comment after.
Okay.
Hey, did you get your new printer?
Not
I've
yet.
ordered it. It hasn't come yet,
Okay.
but yeah, it should be on the way. Hopefully this will pick up paper today.
I'm gonna.
You might wanna, this is waking up after some updates, so you might wanna continue with your business.
All right, I will make a motion that the town asks Don Caponcelli to be the clerk of the works of the Meeting House project, to work with Sherry, and to review the work done by Stebbins. And then report back immediately of any issues to that with email, and at least talking to at least one board member.
Right,
And I'll second that motion.
okay.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? And I wasn't there to record this vote.
I think the recorder should be running, so I'll get it later.
Okay. We had,
So can I just ask a question now?
sure.
Because you just asked of Don the same thing that you asked of me before. So does that mean now Don is in that position?
No, you're in the position as a member of the committee, and Don is there to help you. Because he
Okay.
has
The expertise.
the expertise.
Right, no, I
None
understand
of the
that,
rest of
but
us
I'm
have.
just, so you will be communicating, we will both be communicating with you, I guess.
That's what I understand.
Sure, if there's an issue, I would let you folks to communicate to us if you find one.
Please.
Or if you find an issue and Don says, no, that's all right,
I
you
abstain on
communicate
that
it
vote.
with us, or if Don does, he
I'm
communicates.
related to him.
If you have a dispute with the two of you. At least one of you communicate with us if there's an issue.
Thank
There
you.
will be no issues, so we're good.
Right, right.
I didn't even think of that. I'm related to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should have, yeah.
Yeah,
Sandy?
well, I just told Hannah I abstained from the vote.
Yes. Well, it doesn't really make sense.
Roads.
Yes, vote.
Road. Matt gave me this, email, and he asked if Sandy would email back that person to make sure they do realize we do have a conflict of interest policy and a procurement policy.
Okay.
What is this for?
He was saying it's for FEMA funds.
Oh,
All right.
Can I?
So I'll make a motion that Sandy contact this person and can transmit
Oh,
our
okay,
conflict
Kim.
of interest,
yeah,
and procurement policies.
yep.
And then he received,
Is there a second to that?
I'll
Yes,
second.
second.
Carol seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed.
and he received that, I received that too. It's for next year's, mediation, the storm drainage stuff.
Was that the 11,000? Yeah.
We have to, you have to sign that, and Matt said, he's the authorized person to deal with on the daily contact.
Okay.
And, that's gonna be back before June 24. So we thought, if I brought it to your attention tonight, that
So is that for
Get it.
new $11,000?
for
Yeah.
next year,
Yeah.
for the 23.
All right, I will make a motion that we sign the letter of intent to participate in the SFY 23 Municipal Road Grant in Aid Program.
I'll
Is-
second.
Seconded
Yes.
by Denise. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Jerry, could you come tell me which one of these is the contract? There's 5 attachments here.
What's the date, 25th?
6.
Something like that.
Yeah, 26th. According to my not so smart phone.
Those are the attachments that we sent to the board.
And the other thing he wanted me to bring up, the rear seal, I believe he said, in the truck is leaking. And we
Which
got
truck? The big
it,
truck?
big
The
truck.
big one.
the big
Is that covered by the,
The seal
Wrong.
is not,
Really?
the seal's not.
Oh, because I thought when he came to my house yesterday,
Did you send?
we were chatting and I thought he said it was, but.
No, the seal is not,
Okay.
because that's an outward part.
Okay.
His problem is, they could probably do it themselves, but if there's a bearing gone inside, that would probably be covered. And so we got an estimate on the cost from GT or TG, or whatever.
I did send it.
And they said it would be about $500 to replace the seal, that's for a couple hours work and everything.
Yes.
And that's just an estimate because, you know, if things come off harder than the 2 hours.
Yeah,
But
I'm
it's-
not fond of the estimates, but
But, you know,
but if it's a bearing gone, then
we
they'll
tear it
replace it.
apart, yeah,
Yes, you can.
and they do all the,
Yeah, I think you should.
and how long
take
has it been leaking for?
I think he noticed it last week, but it's leaking quite a bit, so he He's been
So
not using it very,
I think we take it to them and have them fix it.
That's fine. But it always seems that we got this extended warranty contract and a lot of things that are
Well-
going wrong with the truck is
This-
not been covered.
well, it's more or less the internal parts that
I
are
know,
probably
I know.
covered, not the
I know.
That's the
external.
old,
It's,
Because
so do you, you need a motion for that or just you gonna take it?
I think unless anybody has an objection to that, you have an objection?
So I'll tell them to set up an appointment as soon
Set
as
up an
possible
appointment,
and
get
get
it
it
taken
done.
down.
Yep, needs to be done.
You don't think
Because they're gonna be working it quite a bit with all the grants and everything,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
needs to be done.
I think that's everything on it.
All right. Is there any other business?
Yes, Don had a comment.
Don, you had a comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a standing appointment for June 2nd with Farnham Insulators to look at the crawl space down here, but we're getting backed up in my, excuse me, in my work, and I'm just wondering if the board wouldn't mind that I reschedule that for early July.
That's fine. Will you be retired by July?
I will be retired.
That will be fine. If they are willing to reschedule it, that'd be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're not gonna turn down the business.
Good, okay.
And one more thing, this is about the efficiency of the lot. They're giving out free audits to for municipal buildings. So I signed up for it so that we can get hopefully an audit on the town garage and the community center,
Okay.
as long as it's free.
Yeah,
Multiple buildings or is it only for one?
I don't know, I signed up and I put down town garage and community center. They haven't emailed me back yet with any information, but it came through the VLCC last week
Well, I
before.
think this building's pretty well tightened up, isn't it? This building's pretty well,
This building here?
No.
No,
No,
that
that's
wall,
why
the
I
insulation,
wasn't
that wall.
I might be able to add.
Motion
Yeah,
mitigation.
that's my concern, because, I
but
mean,
we've got insulation in the attic, we're looking at it.
It's not standard, it's below standard, and there is some up there.
Okay.
I mean,
Probably put extra in
I
up
mean, if
there.
they're giving free audits and it doesn't make a difference how many buildings, throw this one on there too.
yeah.
We have the capacity to put more, but we haven't done it.
Don, is that the fiberglass insulation, or is that blown in, you know?
There's about 8 inches of blown in stuff, but that 20 is the standard now.
Yep, okay.
And there we go. Perfect.
All right, I will,
Put the date on the top there.
Sherry has her hand raised.
yes, Sherry.
I have a question and I have a point that I would like to make. First on my question, I was down at the town garage on, I think it was Monday morning, to get mulch for the daffodils that we planted over at the meeting house around the sign. And I think I was there about 7:30 in the morning. There was no mulch outside. Obviously, somebody over the weekend had gotten all that was out there. The gate was open, so I went in, I knocked on the door, there were trucks outside, the door was locked, nobody was around. So I started looking down back to see if I could get any mulch that I could access for the meeting house. And then I looked again and I saw that Matt and Eugene had come back from, I'm not sure where they were, and they were chatting with the guy that was out there for the traffic control. So I came back around and I asked them if I could go get some mulch for the meeting house, and they were like, yeah, sure. But Matt made a comment that I have a question about, and that was, he was asking me to make it quick because there was an insurance adjuster coming, and the town would get in trouble, basically, if I was on the property when the insurance adjuster arrived. And that kind of concerned me because I would think that if the town crew is there and the gate is open, there isn't a prohibition for a townsperson to be on the property. So I'm just looking for some clarification or understanding of that.
I mean, I do know in the winter with the sand, the insurance was concerned about the sand collapsing on people.
Totally get it.
I am not sure about the wood chips itself, and I mentioned that to David, because we had another concerned townsperson asking about that as well, and
But I think that the
I don't know what VLTC
VLTC.
has that in their policy that townspeople cannot be in that yard.
Sandy, what, can you check with VLCT to see what their comments are?
I have, and there is nothing in written form in the policy that says no townspeople. It is just highly suggested by VLCT that townspeople not go onto the garage property because of the trucks that they're running. They may not see you there, or you take your car and you run over something and your car gets damaged. So their suggestion is limited accessibility. And that's why they suggested putting the bunker right outside of the gate. And I know in talking to Matt, because I know Witchy's had an issue with it too, is that VLCT doesn't want heavy equipment in there that is not the town's equipment.
Yeah, I know, I totally get that, and that, my question though is, Matt saying me and my little Rav with my trash bin trying to get mulch would be a concern for the town based on insurance if the insurance inspector came while I was there.
It might be. I'm going to be meeting with the insurance inspector in the near future.
And what I would say is that it become very clear that if that is a concern, then, and it would be reasonable that if the employees are not on the premises, then maybe nobody else should be on the premises. I would totally understand that in terms of insurance liability.
Well,
If that's the case.
that's kind of the way it is at this point.
But then
They
the
do
gate should be closed if they're not there. And they weren't there at 7:30 in the morning, and the gate was open, and I drove in, and somebody else was sitting there in this truck, and
Well, there is going to be signage put up, because Matt has said that there are times he leaves the gate open when he's expecting a delivery or something else is going to be happening. So that could be one of those cases, is they were waiting for something, they were not going to be there because they were working, so they left the gate open. Now, we have to see about signage that will be a little more specific about, you know, picking up mulch or sand or anything else, you know, that.
I'm sorry, but if it's not in the policy that says a townsperson cannot go on the premises to get mulch, and no, Matt or anyone else who's in that building doesn't have the right to say, no, you can't be on the property because of insurance reasons. If it's not in the policy and it's just a suggestion.
Well, I think we should find out from
Yeah.
VLCT one way or the other, and then go from there and decide that from them. We should go with what VLCT suggests for us with that.
you've got a situation like Townsend has with the, you know, recycled trash, all of that stuff right there in their garage, town garage lot.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if VLCT is, I would guess, is also their insurance place.
And they lock it, they lock the gate. As soon as the day's over, that gate is
No, that's
locked.
fine. That's totally fine. But I'm talking about while the day is open and the gate is open, what is this, you know, what is the expectation of people?
Well, I think we need to
should
get,
know and
I think
understand
we
that.
should need clarity from our insurance provider, and we will go from there. And that's something to be brought up at a regular meeting, so.
Sounds good. So the only other point I wanted to make is that, I'm only here tonight because I happen to be on the list of people who wanted to be notified of specially scheduled board meetings. Until I reached out and said, what's going on here, there was no checking in to see if anyone from the committee, other than Janet, would be able to be at this meeting. If there were questions to be answered, I don't know how they would have been answered. if I hadn't been able to be here, if I hadn't gotten that notice to be here. So it just strikes me that this meeting was scheduled and there was no direct attempt to reach out to the committee for a means of answering the questions at this meeting.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, I will make a motion, we adjourn. Is there a second? Harold seconds it. All those in favor?
Oh,
Even
yeah.
with Janet did, but that's all right.
Well, Janet did, but you kind of grunted there.
I grunted, I said, okay, I'm going. Thank you, everybody.